President announces elections date in May. Guyanese head of state meets Secretary General of UNICEF, and the president described as a man of his word. We'll have the details of these and other presidential activities in this week's edition of the Diary for the period January 17 to January 23, 2015. I'm Paul McAdam. Guyana's head of state, President Donald Ramotar, on January 20 declared that general and regional elections will be held on Monday, May 11, 2015. The president made the announcement during an address to the nation on January 20. President Ramotar had prorogued Parliament on November 10, 2014, opting to preserve rather than end the life of the 10th Parliament.
I was also attempting to avoid further political conflict and seek avenues of political accommodation between my government and the parliamentary opposition parties. I had hoped that the period of prorogation would have allowed for extant tensions to ease and for all of the parliamentary parties to constructively engage the government. At all times, I have acted in accordance with the Constitution of Guyana.
Another important factor weighing in on the November 10 prorogation was the fact that hundreds of potential voters would be disenfranchised.
I also did it to enfranchise those persons through no fault of their own who could not get on the roll or the voters' roll at the last elections because of lack of source documents, mainly residents living in the hinterland. Unfortunately, the opportunities that prorogation provided for continued dialogue and engagements with the parliamentary opposition parties have not materialized. The parliamentary opposition adopted an inflexible position that they will not engage with me until Parliament was reconvened. I had hoped that they would have reconsidered this unproductive posture and meet with me so that we could discuss our differences and find solutions to advance the development of Guyana.
It was pointed out that all governance procedures were done in accordance with the Guyana Constitution, and national and international stakeholders were kept regularly informed.
Meetings were also held with the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, to emphasize the need for their readiness for holding free, fair, transparent, and efficient elections. This was consistent with my intention to call general elections should there be failure to find accommodation with the parliamentary opposition parties. You will recall that in December 2014, I had alerted international observers to the possibility of elections in 2015. Also, at a press conference, I assured the nation that I was going to announce a date for general and regional elections early in the new year as not to disrupt the holiday season. My commitment to preserving and strengthening our democracy is unquestionable. I made it clear then that I remained open to dialogue with the opposition parties. It is a door that I did not, nor do not intend to shut, now or ever.
The president noted that despite several invitations, the joint opposition parties refused to meet or have any dialogue with his administration.
In the circumstances, I hereby announce that general and regional elections shall be held on Monday, the 11th of May, 2015. I am advised that GECOM would be in a state of readiness for these polls on that date. As usual, I intend to invite international observers to be part of the elections process, and I will expect the political parties, the security services, and the people of Guyana to conduct themselves in a manner that will ensure continued peace and stability before, during, and after the elections.
President Ramotar has expressed his confidence in his administration being returned to office with a majority in the National Assembly. Flooding along parts of the Essequibo coast prompted the president to visit several hard-hit communities on January 17th. Accompanied by regional officials, including the chairman, Prominent Prasad, drainage and irrigation, and agricultural officials, the president had a first-hand look at outfalls in the communities of Devonshire Castle, Hampton Court, Lima, and Regina, Three Friends, Richmond, Reliance, and Henrietta.
A lot of the problem that has to do with the outfalls, where you have the mud blocking up the cocos and so forth, constantly as you clear it, it comes back in. But I think we are sending in some more dredges and some more pumps so that we can have a relief of the situation as fast as possible to get the water off the land.
Record levels of rainfall, which occurred over parts of the region over several days, exacerbated the situation. 14 pumps were pressed into service to bring relief to residents.
I just want the residents to know that we are aware of what is taking place, and we are doing our very, very best to try to get the water off the land as fast as possible. And we empathize with them with the difficulty that they're facing at this time.
President Ramatara was also able to meet with residents, many of whom voiced their concerns over the situation. He also instructed regional officials to keep him informed daily of the situation until it was rectified. Ghana's input into the Union of South American States, UNICEF, will be enhanced by the organization's formal invitation to President Donald Ramatara to become a special representative to the organization. This invitation was extended when the Secretary General, Dr. Ernesto Samper Pizano, visited Guyana. During a meeting on January 20 at the Office of the President, Dr. Samper stated that their discussions included topics that are currently on UNICEF's agenda.
We brought to the table all the topics that are right now in the agenda UNASUR. For us, Guyana is a very important country in a very strategic part of the region. And we were discussing about inclusion, social inclusion, which is a topic that the President knows very well and is very interested in. And also in the topic of infrastructure projects, how to deal with the multilateral projects of infrastructure that we have at this moment. And I invite the President to join UNASUR, sending a special representative to work with me in all the agenda that we are working on.
Dr. Ernesto Samper Pizano, a former president of Colombia, was appointed for a 2-year term beginning in August 2014 as Secretary General of UNICEF. Among the Secretary General's 7 priorities, 2 are listed for Guyana. These are the Brazil-Suriname-Guyana link, which would include the Corentyne River Bridge, and the Venezuela-Guyana link. These projects have already been discussed with Guyana's neighbors. Suriname has approached the Chinese government for assistance on consultations and construction for the Corentyne River Bridge. Ghana's continued development can only be assured if government's push to improve the education sector is allowed to continue, says the President. A case has been made by the head of state for the performance of the economy and the gains made in the social sector. He noted that the country has seen much progress in the field of education.
This is evidenced by the tangible improvements we have seen in infrastructure, the percentage of trained teachers, high enrollment ratios across all levels, results at the national and international exams, interest and attainment in the sciences, and access to technical, vocational, and tertiary facilities. It is boys and girls from all across Guyana who have been celebrated as the most outstanding CXC students in almost all recent years. We intend to build on these gains, including by ensuring that we sustain the high level of investment in the sector, with education commanding 14.7% of the national budget for 2014. Our citizens are going to be prepared by our schools to meet the needs of modern Guyana and to compete in the world.
The President said that legislation will be put in place in the future to enhance the delivery of local education.
In this new year, we intend to pass a new Education Act that has already been laid in the National Assembly, but sadly met a hurdle in the destructive, unprogressive politics of the opposition. In this new, bold piece of legislation, the first we have endeavored to pass in the sector since Guyana gained her independence in 1966, we shall set the tone for the future in education. Our citizens are going to be prepared by our schools to meet the needs of modern Guyana and to compete successfully in the world of tomorrow.
Over the last 2 decades, more than 1,000 schools have either been rehabilitated or constructed by government as it seeks to improve the education sector. Hundreds of trained teachers have also graduated. The President has emphasized that an educated population is needed as the nation's development continues to expand. You're watching The Diary, where we have been recapping the highlights of the country's President's weekly activities. More after the break. The Amalia Fault hydropower project is essential for a vibrant manufacturing sector. Under the flagship of the LCDS, Norway has transferred earnings from its partnership with Guyana, amounting to some $80 million to the Inter-American Development Bank to fund a part of Guyana's equity share in the project. High amongst the priorities will be ensuring the achievement of more affordable and more reliable energy. Government will deliver the Amalia Fall hydropower project along with all of its attendant benefits. It is expected that there will be an achievement of financial closure and commencement of the construction of this project during 2015. A message from the Government Information Agency.
This was Guyana just over 2 decades ago. Bankrupt, its people despondent, collapsing social and physical infrastructure. Second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. No housing program. Production at its lowest level. 94% of every dollar serviced external debt. From the dawn of a new era, enter a new Guyana. This is our Guyana now, blooming.
The Community Development Initiative Plan (CDP) under the Amerindian Development Fund is a project introduced by the PPPC administration to secure livelihood for the Amerindian villages and hinterland communities. Already 25 communities have received $125 million to embark on agriculture, mining and tourism projects, among several others. Additionally, 161 communities are to benefit in the second phase, which will see $1.3 billion being disbursed. A message from the Government Information Agency.
To ease traffic congestion along the East Bank Highway, which is a critical thoroughfare for accessing the city, plans are afoot to construct a new bypass linkage from Eccles to Diamond. Additionally, the feasibility study for the East Coast East Bank Bypass Road has been completed and government will be examining how to advance this huge project.
Ghana's crime fighting capacity has been boosted tremendously. A state-of-the-art forensic laboratory, the formation of the country's first ever special weapons and tactical SWAT unit, and institutional strengthening are some aspects of the sector's reforms. Capacity building has played an important role as ranks have received training both locally and overseas to effectively deal with various aspects of crime solving. A message from the Government Information Agency.
Pensioners will enjoy a 50% increase in assistance, bringing it to $30,000 per annum for pensioners who are customers of the Guyana Power and Light Company Incorporated. Further, old age pension is to be increased by 5% with effect from May 1, 2014 to $13,125 monthly, targeting the 42,500 senior citizens.
Ghana's head of state has been described as a man of his word by his cabinet colleagues. This follows the president's move to announce the May 11th date for the local general and regional elections. This was driven home by Minister Juan Edgell, who recalled that President Ramatar did as he said he would after his prorogation of the National Assembly in November of last year.
The president made it public. He will not prolong prorogation. Neither he has no intention of taking prorogation for 6 months, bring Parliament back into session or whatever, and then prorogue for another 6 months. He said he will not be using that power that is available to him as an option, even though it is constitutional. He promised the nation that he will not be doing that.
Okay.
In December, he told the nation, I will make an announcement very early in the new year concerning general elections.
President Ramatar announced the date for elections on January 20 via an address to the nation.
The president has fulfilled his word. He has acted honorably. He has upheld his word, which means when he gave his word to the nation, he intends to keep his word, and he has announced the date for national and regional elections. So all the Facebook fans and pages and the statements in the newspapers, they might want to say May 11th is elections day. But I'm adding to that line of every journalist and every reporter. Ramatar keeps his word. And that is the assurance that we want to give to the people of Guyana, that President Ramatar will keep his word. He will keep faith with the people of Guyana, and he is a leader. That no matter what is the pressure that surrounds him, he can be trusted and he keeps his word.
President Ramatar has vowed to continue the development of the social sector and the nation's infrastructure to ensure Ghana's development into the future. Indian sugar experts will be visiting Guyana to assist in the development of the local sugar industry. During his recent state visit to India, President Ramatar was given a tour of the Valsad sugar factory. The extensive state-of-the-art facility is owned by the workers via a cooperative and is operated efficiently, producing a wide variety of sugars and various byproducts. He also met with Indian experts who offered their expertise on how to enhance the sugar industry locally.
Also, I've had several discussions with other big Indian sugar companies and also companies that carry out research and other type of activities. And they are very, very interested in Guyana, and we expect a delegation from them, or more than one delegation from them will be coming soon to look at possibilities of how they can work together with Gaisuco and what other investments could be made in our country, particularly as far as sugar is concerned.
Government is keen to see a return to form with the local sugar industry. Sugar production exceeded 216,000 tons last year, and it is anticipated that 2015's production will be even higher. President Ramatar has offered condolences on behalf of government and the people of Guyana to the government and people of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on the passing of King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. The president said the king will be remembered for his astute leadership an instrumental role he played in his country's economic, cultural, and social development. More of the diary after this break. The Amalia Falls Hydropower project is essential for a vibrant manufacturing sector. Under the flagship of the LCDS, Norway has transferred earnings from its partnership with Guyana, amounting to some $80 million to the Inter-American Development Bank to fund a part of Guyana's equity share in the project. High amongst the priorities will be ensuring the achievement of more affordable and more reliable energy. Government will deliver the Amalia Falls Hydropower project along with all of its attendant benefits. It is expected that there will be an achievement of financial closure and commencement of the construction of this project during 2015. A message from the Government Information Agency. The Community Development Initiative Plan, CDP, under the Amerindian Development Fund is a project introduced by the PPPC administration to secure livelihood for the Amerindian villages and hinterland communities. Already 25 communities have received $125 million to embark on agriculture, mining and tourism projects, among several others. Additionally, 161 communities are to benefit in the second phase, which will see $1.3 billion being disbursed. A message from the Government Information Agency.
Education is a fundamental building block for human development. 22 years ago, only 32% of our children had access to education. Today, education is accessible to every Guyanese child. Some 1,000 new schools have been built or refurbished throughout the country, and university education has expanded with a new campus in Berbice. The achievement of excellence in education is no longer confined to only students in Georgetown. Now, students from other regions are successfully topping the country and the Caribbean. These achievements and investments in education have brought positive recognition for Guyana and Guyanese everywhere. Our country has achieved the Millennium Development Goal of universal primary education. It is therefore not mere coincidence that education receives the largest allocation of the national budget. This is a demonstration of government's commitment to the development of students by preparing them for the future and helping their dreams become reality. Education, flying the flag of excellence as Guyana blooms. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights says everyone has the right to housing. Just over 2 decades ago, Guyanese were denied this right. The high cost of rent, little or no access to land, and the stagnant economy created a chronic housing crisis and resulted in rampant squatting. Today, Guyana is experiencing an unprecedented housing and construction boom in all 10 regions through an innovative, incisive, visionary, and exemplary housing program. Over the years, government has pursued aggressive measures to build new infrastructure, improve existing ones, and regularize squatter settlements. To date, 115,000 house lots have been issued and more than 1,200 turnkey homes have been sold as government continues to prioritize and make housing affordable and accessible to Guyanese everywhere. This transformative program has been facilitated through the enabling financial environment created by government in partnership with financial institutions and has ensured that every Guyanese has access to finance to realize the dream of owning a home. With 152 new housing schemes established and some 179 squatting areas regularized, thousands of Guyanese have since been empowered through home ownership. This housing and construction boom continues to contribute to a growing economy while providing jobs in the process. The future of the housing sector remains bright as many Guyanese have come to enjoy the security and joy of owning a home. Guyana, having moved from an era of no housing program to one that is lauded throughout the Caribbean, is testimony to government's continuous work to improve the lives of all Guyanese through increased access to housing and its related services as Guyana blooms.
To ease traffic congestion along the East Bank Highway, which is a critical thoroughfare for accessing the city, plans are afoot to construct a new bypass linkage from Eccles to Diamond. Additionally, the feasibility study for the East Coast East Bank Bypass Road has been completed and government will be examining how to advance this huge project.
Ghana's crime fighting capacity has been boosted tremendously. A state-of-the-art forensic laboratory, the formation of the country's first ever special weapons and tactical SWAT unit, and institutional strengthening are some aspects of the sector's reforms. Capacity building has played an important role as ranks have received training both locally and overseas to effectively deal with various aspects of crime solving. A message from the Government Information Agency.
Pensioners will enjoy a 50% increase in assistance, bringing it to $30,000 per annum for pensioners who are customers of the Guyana Power and Light Company Incorporated. Further, old age pension is to be increased by 5% with effect from May 1, 2014 to $13,125 monthly, targeting the 42,500 senior citizens.
That's all in this week's diary for the period January 17 to January 23, 2015. Before we go, these were some of the highlights. President announces elections date in May. Guinea's head of state meets the UNICEF Secretary General. And the president is described as a man of his word. Do join us again for the next program when we will bring you more of the president's activities. I'm Paul McAdam, thanking you for watching us. For more information, contact us via email or visit our website.